All right, Universal Recovery 360 Life Coaching Classes. Uh, State of the Union, that's what I want to talk about. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the rally. Okay, but I want to read some stuff to you. And I also want you to pay attention because there are some things happening today, and I only have 30 minutes to tell you, so I need to keep it going. Okay. In 1969, the Supreme Court unanimously reversed the conviction of a Ku Klux Klan group for advocating violence as a means of accomplishing political reform because their statements at a rally did not express an immediate or imminent intent to do violence. Right? That's what they said. They also said that the Supreme Court held in the landmark case, you can look this one up, it's from 1964, that lies about the government may be protected completely. Right? Then they said the Supreme Court gave a defense of reasonable ignorance, right, to an obscenity charge. The basis for this exception is that justices have believed that obscenity has a tendency to exert a corrupting and debasing impact leading to antisocial behavior. And they said that threats of violence that are directed at a person or a group of persons that has the intent of placing the target at risk of bodily harm or death are generally unprotected. However, there are several exceptions. For example, the Supreme Court held that threats may not be punished if a reasonable person would understand them to as obvious hyperbole or hyperbole, or however you want to pronounce it, right? That means exaggeration, where they saying that if a reasonable person can tell that they just talking, right? Don't pay it no mind. It's just talk, right? And that's what they did. They decided that after it was over, well, we had a right to do that. We were just speaking our minds, right? Right? They said that as long as that was the case, right, they were protected under the First Amendment, right? Here's the problem. Now you got this group of people that's suing, right, the government because they feel like they weren't protected on in their right to do something. But the truth is, and a lot of people ain't paying attention, right? I'm gonna say it again. If their statements at a rally did not express an immediate or imminent intent to do violence, the minute that car came flying through there and killed them people, their First Amendment rights were violated. Boom, right there. Because that was an immediate, right, intent to do violence. Right then and there. They should have been shut down. But people aren't doing their research, so they're arguing, right, what's good, what's fair, what's right, and what's wrong, right, without doing the research. Now, you're dealing with a bunch of people that's protesting, right, that are lawyers, right, businessmen, attorneys. Their whole life is based on education of how the system works, right, and how to benefit from it. Versus the people who have been succumbing to the system, right, for 400 years. Right? Some of them 300, some of them 200, some of them just joining in, right? But they're being subject to the recourse that the system is spewing out, right? Because they haven't done any research and they feel like that there's no way to stop it, right? Except for, anti-protest, right? But that's not what it's about. It's about doing your research. These people spent months planning for this thing, and their intention was to get someone to violate their rights so that they could carry this on through the courts, right? And so they could stay doing it, right? So they could continue to do it. But the minute that person drove that car through there, he violated the amendment, which shut them down, right? And if anybody in their right mind wanted to protect, right, the right for people to do something like that and stop them from doing it, they would be going after that. But they're not. They're too busy crying and mumbling about how these people could get away with something like that rather than do the research, right? Fight the right fight, right? So you got what I like to call, right, a group of people that have been taught to pray for change, fighting against a people or a group of people that have been taught to enact change, right? So while one people praying, reciting, the other people are putting in work because they've been trained to put in work when we only been trained, or these other people only been trained to pray and hope for the best. Well, you can't win like that. Not in this day and age. See, a lot of things changed and people still focus on the way it used to be, right? And education, right, was the one thing they kept from people to hold them down, right? But education, right, is something you can do yourself, right? Why do you think the minute people started homeschooling their kids, they come up with this homeschool thing where they could instill, even from home, the information they want your kids to have rather than the information you need to be teaching them? Right? So they still talking about the same history, right, in these homeschool programs, right? They promoting it all over the TV, right? K-12 and all this crap about how good it is for the kids. If that's the case, right, why they didn't do that a long time ago? The only reason they're doing it now is because people are learning stuff they don't want them learning. They want to keep the same curriculum in you, whether you go to school or you do it at home. But you don't have to follow that. Right? The stuff people in this group in this day and age, right, of the group of people that I come from, we 40 and 50 years old. We just learning stuff that these kids of richer descent were learning in the fifth grade. That's why they got that show out. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? That's them laughing at the stuff we learning. Right? We 40 and 50 years old learning stuff they learned when they was in the fifth grade. Come on. Right? I'm gonna end it with that. Now I'm gonna talk about the thing that's causing all this stuff to happen. The real thing that's going on. Population control. Uh, in all its glory. Right? In 1973, there was a Secretary of State at that time by the name of Henry Kissinger. He was a political scientist. He was a diplomat, right? Because he was a Secretary of State. That means he had foreign trade pass, right? Wherever he go, he had immunity, right? And he was also a statesman, which means that his word had value because he was a political scientist. He was like all things in one, and he was the Secretary of State, which made him the perfect person to do this report. So they call it the Kissinger Report. But in all actuality, the report's name was a National Security Study, right? Memorandum 200. Right? So it was NSSM 200, also known as the Kissinger Report, and it was published November 26, 1975, but it was written before then. Right? In this report, Kissinger came up with this conclusion that the world was being overpopulated, and if something wasn't done about it, by the year 2075, this world would be so overpopulated that there won't be enough food to feed everybody. There won't be enough land for them to be on. And so they decided at that point, right, they needed to start things to control population. That's when all the Planned Parenthood stuff came out. And I know people like to individually separate these things that were going on, right, as separate entities. But the truth is they're all connected. And I'm going to show you that in a second, right? One of the things they said was going to happen with the overpopulation, and I'm going to tell you how they knew this. You could see for yourself, right? High increasing levels of child abandonment, right? See that in the ghetto every day. Juvenile delinquency, right? You see that in the ghetto every day. Chronic and growing underemployment and unemployment, you see that in the ghetto every day, right? Petty thievery, you see that in the ghetto every day. Organized brigandry, which means gangs, right? Organized gangs, right? You see that in the ghetto every day. Food riots, you ever seen them people online for that cheese? Mm-hmm. You ever seen them people in them stores going crazy? Mm-hmm. What else? Separatist movements like you know, the Ku Klux Klan or the Nazi thing. And you see a lot of those, right? Communal massacres, you see that all the time. Revolutionary actions and counter-revolutionary coups like the Black Panthers, right? Right, and Angela Davis said this a long time ago. They was asking her, right? Don't you think it's wrong for y'all to promote violence? And she said, promote violence? We the ones being violated. We just trying to protect ourselves. Like, how is it that you can only see us with guns, right? Walking down the street, but you can't see why we got the guns and why we walking down the street. How is that? Muhammad Ali said the same thing. He was a statesman. He said, why y'all want me to go fight some people ain't never did nothing to me? My enemy is right here. Then y'all call me, right, a traitor to the country. It's not about being a traitor to the country. It's about knowing the truth. Okay, anyway, right? So they decided all those things were going to become, right, the norm in their world, not just in the ghettos, but in their world, if the population continued to grow as it was. So they decided to put some incentives out there. One of them was putting women to work. Right now, I know nowadays, because population kind of got put under control, right? It didn't work out the way Kissinger wrote it, right? The truth is, people learn how to love themselves, and things are changing without their help. And so a lot of the things they put in place are just there now because of no use. But they're ready to use them at any given moment because they're always going to be prepared, right? So one of the things they decided was, and you're going to love this, right? They decided that priority should be given in general, right, in the general aid program to selective development policies and sectors offering the greatest promise of increased motivation for smaller sized families. In many cases, pilot programs and experimental research will be needed as guidance for later efforts on a larger scale. On a larger scale, they want to start small and then they want to do it on a larger scale, right? And here's what they said. The preferential sector should include providing minimal levels of education, especially for women. Right? I don't want y'all to take that personal just yet, because what they also wanted to do is they wanted to reduce infant mortality, the child's lifespan, right, through simple, low-cost health care. They wanted to reduce the child's lifespan through health care, through low-cost health care. And in other words, the kids can't get what they really need, so they're dying. Right? They wanted to kill off the kids, right? The other one was expanding wage employment, especially for women. Now, when you think about this, right, this is where it should hurt, right? You want to give the women minimal education, and then you want to expand their opportunities to work. So you don't ever want them to have a job that's satisfying, right? That they can relax with. You want them to continue to struggle with a low paying job so that they won't have time to have kids. Like, this is what it was all about. They wanted to keep them busy. Now, a lot of people in our culture thought that they were giving the women a job so that the men could lose their feeling of being a man and taking care. But the truth was, that was something they believed in. I mean, that wasn't something we believed in our culture. We believed that the women are, I'm not going to tell you what we believe. You can look it up for yourself. Anyway, right? They also wanted to increase the income of the poorest, especially in rural areas, including providing privately owned farms, education of new generations on the desirability of smaller families. Now, this wasn't intended for certain people. This was only intended for, of course, you can figure that out yourself. Okay, while AID has information on the relative importance of the new major socioeconomic factors that lead to lower birth rates, much more research and experimentation needed to be done to determine what cost-effective programs and policies will lead to lower birth rates. So they put all that Planned Parenthood stuff in place and all these little free clinics around here where they could experiment on you and you not even know it. Yeah, they wanted it available for you so that if you got pregnant, you could just go get the kid killed for free, right? They put all that stuff in place because of population control. Now, they didn't just want to do that here. They decided that this was a worldwide issue, right? So this is what they did next, right? They wanted to concentrate on key countries. They said assistance for population moderation should be given primary emphasis to the largest and fastest growing developing countries where there is a special U.S. political and strategic interest. Now I'm going to say that again, because this is always about it. strategic interest and political interest for the United States. Right? Everything they do is about them. Even though they got the whole nation or these group of nations in the United Nations sitting down feeling like this is the best thing for everybody, the truth is they have an ulterior agenda, right? And they said those countries are India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, Indonesia, Brazil, the Philippines, Thailand, Egypt, Turkey, Ethiopia, Colombia, and guess what? Mexico. Now, so when you think about that wall or the fence, and they want to send people back, they want these illegal aliens to stop coming over here. The truth is, they just want to hold out on Mexico until they can get the Mexican government to agree to what they want to do. They want them to agree to their conditions, and then all that stuff will go away. So they created all these things about immigration, people sneaking over. Now you're talking about a place where they got the land from, a people they got the land from Mexico. Used to own the California, Texas, where all the gold and oil was. Right? They fought for it, but in the end they had to pay for it. $15 million. And they fought for it. In Florida, they fought for it. In California, they fought for it. But in the end, they had to pay for it. Right? And then the minute they pay for it, they put all these borders up and stop and not allow these people who they got it from to come back. We don't want y'all over here. Right? Even though we just got this from y'all, we don't want y'all over here. This is ours now. You ain't figured that out yet. Anyway, this is what they said. It should be recognized that at present aid bilateral assistance to some of these countries may not be acceptable. Figure that one out. Right? Here's what they said. They said that the funds will be given to other countries that are considering such factors as population growth, need for external assistance, long-term U.S. interest, and willingness to engage in self-help. They said they're going to start giving this stuff to the other countries so that the countries that refuse could see the benefit of what they're doing while they're giving it to them at the same time, holding things back from them. Right? That's what they're doing to Mexico. Right, but we too busy arguing about the immigration thing, right? We don't have no idea that it's a bigger thing going on, that it's been going on forever. 45 years almost. Now, here's what they say. They say, right, activities which already has projects in over 80 countries. This is in 1972. In over 80 countries to increase population assistance on a broader basis with increased U.S. contributions. This is desirable in terms of U.S. interest and necessary in political terms in the United Nations. But progress nevertheless must be made in the key 13, and our limited resource should give major emphasis to them. He said this is desirable, right, in terms of U.S. interests, right, and necessary in political terms in the United Nations. Right? It's desirable in their interest and necessary in the nation. So then they put up these, so they started preparing. They put up these camps, these FEMA camps, right? Well, people think now that these FEMA camps, well, now they're saying that these camps are for when, say, the state of Florida decides that the government is not doing, the Florida government, because each state is an independent entity, they're autonomous, and the governor is like the president of the state. And they saying in case the states and the governors decide they don't want to go along with the federal government and what they talking about, or they want to separate or secede, right? They're going to lock them all up in a concentration camp. They got them everywhere, right? Those camps have now been assigned to stay in place in case their own citizens decide they don't agree with what they're doing. Right, there was a time when they would put it in place, right, because they was going to store people, because they realized a long time ago that certain people you couldn't just obliterate, right? You couldn't just commit genocide on a group of people, because one of the things they believe, and this is quiet as kept, that people are needed in order for this world to survive. They believe in the chosen people. They're not going to tell you that, but they do. So their intent was to put them in storage, right? Monitor the growth rates, right? And keep the population down, right? Feed them, house them, clothe them, give them the three basic necessities: food, clothing, and shelter, and leave them there while they live their lives freely. That's what they wanted to do back then, right? But since the population thing didn't work out because population actually decreased, then they decided, okay, so we're going to use these now in case they start acting a fool. But they're ready to lock whole states up. Their own country, your own country, ready to lock y'all up if y'all don't go along with what they doing, right? But that's something y'all can't see because y'all too busy arguing the little stuff like color and race. Now you got these purists worrying about being removed, but the people who are removing y'all is not the other people. It's the people, it's your own people doing it because they don't care about y'all. They don't care about color. They care about money, land, right? That's what they care about. They don't care about y'all. If they don't care about y'all, we know they don't care about us, right? Let me give you an example. See this? That's red, right? In this country, you could show a woman the color red and she'll give you 50 different names for that color red, right? No, that's not red, that's rose, or that's hot, super hot pink, or that's fuchsia, or that's not purple, that's violet, right? Every color has about 50 definitions of it, yet when you see this, right, you see black. To you, this is black. Every other color in the planet, they break down into its smallest compounds, right, and give them names, right? Yet this one color or race of people who are multicolored, right? They all put them all into one category, black. How is this black? It's just like the other category, right? You got people on the commercial doing the tissue test on their teeth because they want to see if their teeth are white. But if your skin was white, you wouldn't need the tissue to match against your teeth. You just match them against your skin. Come on. Okay, this is black. Black. Come on. So let's stop acting like this is about color, right? Let's stop being ignorant. It's bigger than that. People don't care. If that's black to you, there's something wrong, right? Every other color has been broken down into 50 to 60 different varieties except for this one. This is black. I don't care how you see it. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Or this one. I don't care how you see it. It's the dumbest thing in the world. People have decided that this gives them, right, a superiority, or this gives them an inferiority. They put that in y'all. I don't care either way. You don't think I know some of my friends look at me like that? I don't care. If I spent my life worrying about how you saw me, I'd never get nowhere, and I'm a happy mother effer. I'm a happy person today. I kid you not. My life is good, right? Then you got these people, right? And here's the thing that's the kicker, right? We got all our people, right? They 40 and 50 years old. We just learning how to do stuff. It's all right, right? But here's the problem when you start doing research. Don't start doing the research and never stop, right? One of the things you're going to have to learn how to do is do the research, then get that thing done, then do the research on the next thing you need to do, and then get that thing done, right? See, I don't have, I'm gonna just use me, I don't have the affordability to have these 4 people over here researching and these 4 people over here doing what they researched and what they've come up to in their conclusions, right? And then they give it to them and then they go make it happen. I don't have that resource yet. So what I do is I do my own research, right? I do what the research said do, right? And then I move to the next step, and I do the research on that. That's how I started my company. Universal Recovery 360. That's how I started my company. I did the research, then I went out there and I filed the paperwork, then I did the research on the next thing, and I went out there and I did that, and I take things step by step, and I continue to move forward. But I'm not going to get stuck in learning stage. I'm not going to spend my whole life in school. I don't have that luxury, right? To spend my whole life doing research, right? I don't have that luxury, right? I need to put that stuff to use. So stop doing so much research that you can't actually put it to use, right? Be of use, of value to somebody. What I want my company to do once I get it situated and started is help other people build their companies, right? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. You got all these people out here with all this, they ain't helping nobody. They're too busy flaunting. They $2 million cars and they, 23 million dollar houses with 18 bathrooms, right? And they go in there and they don't tell you this, or they lonely as hell, right? They spending $30,000 a week to have people clean this place, right? And ain't nobody there, right? Just so they could show somebody else what they got, right? Who cares about what you got? I don't care about what I got. What I care about is what I'm gonna do next, right? Am I gonna do the right thing for the right reason? Come on, right? Y'all stop doing so much research that y'all can't get nothing done. And stop expecting people to give us stuff. And we got the power to do it ourselves, right? The times have changed. Education has changed that. You don't have to sit back and wait for these people to take care of you, because as long as they in your life is going to be limited. As long as you have the government in your life will be limited, right? Got kids at DCF. They'll come and take your kids. You know why? Because they're not yours. If they was yours, they couldn't take them. Right? Yet they can at any given moment. You know why? Because you just signed them over with your birth certificates and your social security. You just signed them over to the state. So the state come and decide you ain't taking care of our children. Right? They become the mommies and the daddies. So you got these kids being raised by the state rather than people. So they don't know what love is. They being raised in conditions that are savage. So meanwhile, you got my people out there worrying about this world coming to an end, or there coming a time when you're gonna have to fend for yourself, right? You gotta learn how to do your own farming. You gotta learn how to take care of your own housing. You gotta learn to build your own place of dwelling. The only way that's gonna happen is if these governments kill each other. And I'm not talking about people killing each other. I'm talking about these governments being shut down. That will give people what they consider an anarchism. And then people will start fending for themselves. But as long as they have a government in place, I'm sorry, there's something in my tooth. As long as they have a government in place, right, they're not going to let that stuff happen. They're not. Because they're going to have to answer for it. So, y'all stop getting caught up in these agendas that they got going on, because you can't stop them. The only thing you can do is move forward in a way that'll make them stop it, right? This is not about us stopping them. This is about them giving up, right? We are normal people. We built on love. We can make things happen. That's why they say love is going to save the world, right? These people, when you get out of people's way and let them love their own kind and do their thing and educate their own people and let them grow in their communities and give them the opportunity to prosper the way you give other people the opportunity to prosper, these people will make something of themselves. They built for it, right? They built to rule. They're built to lead. But your problem is you think they built to take your job. They don't want your job. So worried about what they're going to take from you that you don't want them to have nothing. Y'all need to stop that. Y'all need to grow up. Right? 50, 60 years old. Y'all so intelligent, run corporations and businesses and the biggest babies on the planet. You need to stop that. Anyway, I'm running out of time. I got about 30 more seconds left. So what I want y'all to know is, right, this is about love, y'all. We could do whatever we want to do, right? We just don't have to get caught up in what they got going on. What they got going on, we can't stop. Only they can stop it. And the only way they're going to stop it is if it proves that what they're about to do is stupid, right? And other people see it and look at them like, what are you getting ready to do? And these other countries, they all in line with it. right? The truth will make you free. And that's how we free ourselves. Stop fighting what they got going on and do what you are meant to do. Do what you've been put here to do, right? And do it with love. Do the next right thing for the right reason. My time is running out. I love y'all. Stay tuned for the State of the Union Part 2. What that's going to be about is moving forward. Peace.